Yes, and there is this theory called as first principles, approaching a problem through the first principles. Best example can be given for Steve Jobs. So when Steve Jobs was designing the iPods, it was like music listening pod. He wanted a very small, as small as possible device in which thousand songs can be stored. It was back in 2002, 2003. So he asked his engineers to do that, and they came up with a bit of a bulky device as an iPod model. So then he simply put that device into an aquarium, and bubbles started coming out of the iPod model, the prototype that they had. So he said that if there is air bubble coming out, it means that there is air space inside the iPod, means that still we can fine tune it and reduce the size of the iPod. I want the iPod to fit into the pockets. And even if we come to the current visionary like Elon Musk, he has a company called as SpaceX, and he wanted to build a rocket. Now they are successfully launching rockets with the humans to international space stations and whatnot. But when he began this exercise of inventing rockets and all, he went to Russia, but they quoted a very high price. So he came back and said that, so what are all the basic elements or equipments, metals, ingredients that are required to build a rocket? So he made a list, and he started accumulating them and pricing them, and collected those materials and started building a rocket. So this is called as thinking in the first principles. So even in Ayurveda also, this thing of first principle thinking goes a long way. You do not know the big samprati of a bigger disease. You can break it down to the qualities, the guna that has increased, like Guraja sir explained, samana vishesha siddhanta, sarvada sarva bhavanam, samanyam vruddhi karanam. Meaning, which guna has increased in the patient, which is causing this particular symptom. Then with the guna we can go into the dosha dominance, and based on the dosha dominance, one or two doshas which are dominant. So in this way also, you can break down the disease, or you can break down the symptoms of the patient presenting into smaller components and start approaching the treatment. Of course, it's not very ideal kind of a thing, but for a beginner, it can be one of the ways.
No, that is actually the way, because you need to identify what is the basic element involved in the manifestation of the samprapti. So we try to find out, the first thing is the patient coming up with some lakshanas, so are symptoms, and there will be certain signs. The signs and symptoms present in the patient will be catched up first. Then we try to analyze the way to put it, whether it is due to vata, pitta, or kapha, or whether due to the combination of both. Then which area, which shrotasas, or which channels in the body, all these to be fine tuned, and then accordingly, whether it is due to the season, whether it is due to time, whether it is due to your age, so everything comes in a line. Then accordingly we can make a conclusion that whether this is due to really with vata dosha. Then if it is a, you want still further, you want to go further down, then you can further classify whether it is due to pranavata, whether it is due to apanavata, something like that. Like, because for every vata there is a area of their dominance and the important functions in the body. Whether such functions is altered, then accordingly we can catch hold of this particular function is altered or deviated from the normalcy. Then we can think that this particular vata is hampered due to some condition. Then accordingly, which is the best suited model for the treatment that can be taken. If it is a vata vikara, then if it is apana vayu disturbance is there, then try to find out what is the thing, basic thing. Shukra artava shakran mutra garbha nishkramana kriya, it is said. Whether it is shukra artava, anything which is around the pelvic region, anything which is going wrong, maybe because of menstruation related things, maybe urinary tract, maybe regular bowel habits, all these to be taken care by the apanavata. If something goes wrong in that area, so we can think of that the apanavayu at stake. So in that condition, whatever the best suited to remove the apanavayu or make it apanavayu move in apanagata, doesn't allow it to make it a urdhvagata, then all these things will help us to bring it a relief. Once that is regularized, because vata is very important in the body, which carries even all the dhatus and doshas and different modalities. What we talk about in modern science or Ayurveda, that many pathways and channels and all those things, everywhere it is said that vata is the one which is having the mobility. all other things are having lame. So then Vata is able to carry the tissues and doshas to different parts of the body. So Vata has to be maintained in the body first. If Vata is there, then it is everything can be settled down.